A permaculture food forest is said to have 7 layers of plants. From the tree canopy down to the root crops. And today we're going to go over that middle layer of the food forest, the shrub layer. Now, I'm coming to you today from inside my greenhouse. It's another rainy day here in East Hawaii. I guess we're forecasted to get another couple feet. So it's hard to make these videos when the weather is like that. So here we are today in my greenhouse. This is where I grow my annuals, but outside these doors I have a food forest on about a 1/4 acre that is slowly evolving throughout the years. It's gone through many changes. And one layer that I am really focusing in on this year to fill in a little bit better is the shrub layer. So I've been looking into all sorts of shrubs that I could think about including on my homestead here. And I thought I'd throw out these 16 plants that you could also think about putting into your tropical food forest. Now, I already have some shrubs on my property. One of my favorite growing here is Katuk. It is a tropical perennial green that produces edible leaves, tips, and berries you can also eat. And it grows pretty quickly, easily from stem cutting. You just cut a stem and stick it in the ground, and it gets to about 6 to 8 feet tall, and then might start falling over at that point. But hopefully you're pruning it pretty much, getting those new leaf tips and eating total abundance off this plant. It loves the sunny edges and can be formed into a hedge. It's a really awesome plant to include into your food forest. I also have Suriname cherry growing, which is sort of a small tree shrub. It grows kind of slowly, but stays compact, and it produces these little cherries that are kind of tart and tangy. I like them in sorbet or turned into jams. My kids love to just eat them straight off. They grow really easy from seed, and there is a possibility that they can spread out and become a little more invasive if you're not careful. I haven't really noticed that on my property. The seeds kind of just drop under the tree and grow from there. I really like how the tree looks. It has a good growth pattern, and it produces so many cherries that why not have something that produces so much, filling in a layer that normally doesn't get filled in. Now, other shrubs I've grown around here are Hawaiian chili peppers. It's a perennial chili pepper plant that grows about 5 or 6 feet tall. Produces these super spicy peppers. Also, there's poha berries, which are also called Cape gooseberries. They look like tomatillo. They have a little papery outer husk with a green fruit inside, and you could turn that into sort of like a green salsa or a jam, or just eat it straight up. They're pretty tasty, kind of tangy, tarty fruits, and typically I grow those from seed. They tend to just kind of sprout up in places once you get them growing. And they're a really easy plant to fill into the understory here in the food forest. I recently learned about this plant called chaya. I've actually had it before at a friend's house, but I never got it growing here. I didn't find the leaves to be that great tasting, but it grows really well in a little more of the dappled light out here, also in the full sun. But I've seen it growing really well in areas that aren't full sun, and I have spots in my food forest where I'd like to experiment filling in with plants like that can handle a little more of the shade. You can eat the leaves and the tender shoots, and it can be propagated just by sticking a stick in the ground. That's what I love about a lot of these tropical plants, is they are really easy to propagate. So it's really easy to create a food forest for very little money. And then there's a cool little plant called callaloo that is native to Africa, and it's a type of amaranth. And you can eat the greens, and it's good sauteed with garlic and paired with ulu or some fish or fried plantains. It handles a little more of the drier conditions. I haven't had it grow too well at my place, but I have seen it grow in areas closer to the coast. It gets to about 3 to 4 feet, not too big, can fill in even another layer of shrubs in the food forest under a slightly larger shrub. It likes a lot of sun and grows pretty well by seed. Super nutritious plant. They say, as I go through this list, you think about it, you should have at least 20 different types of greens every day. So like if you had a salad with one leaf of 20 different types of greens, you have created for yourself a well-balanced diet. And that gets me thinking back to another shrub that I used to grow here. It was edible hibiscus back in the early days when we had this homestead starting off. We had a lot of edible hibiscus growing. It's a plant where you can eat the young leaves and the flowers, and you can saute them. They grow pretty well. You can just stick a branch in the ground. For me, I found the consistency to them to be a little bit tough, so they didn't last very long here on the homestead. Maybe if we harvested when they're just like really baby leaves, it would have been a little better. And I'd like to think about bringing them back in to experiment with them even more. But that's kind of how it goes over time, as plants ebb and flow around here. You have some growing, you find out you might not like some of them. Maybe you want to re-examine those plants later on. You want to grow what you want to grow. So as we get through this list of shrubs that we could grow on our property, the main thing that you want to do is grow what you like. And speaking of one of those plants that I liked and unfortunately has kind of passed on, and I need to get seeds of it again, is pigeon pea. It's a really great tasty pea. My kids love to eat it just kind of steamed up and eaten with rice and fish. And it grows really easily from seed as well. It's a nitrogen fixer, but the thing is, if you're going to use it as a nitrogen fixer, you can't let it go to seed, because the primo nitrogen exists in the flowers before the plant goes to seed. At that point, it takes up that nitrogen. So if you're going to use it to fix nitrogen in the food forest, chop and drop it and whatnot, you're not going to be harvesting food off of it. So these plants are versatile. You can have some producing pods and some being chopped and dropped, and being able to produce multiple benefits that way. Pigeon pea is a really awesome plant. It grows really well out here, and if anyone's got pigeon pea, hit me up. I need some seeds. All right, we are getting through that list. Oh man, there are so many great shrubs that we could be growing in our food forest. And if you hadn't had the chance to check out a video that we made on how to create a food forest of your own, be sure to check out this link up here. And please plant your finger on the like button. Every like these videos gets really helps spread the word of what I'm doing here with Homestead in Hawaii. I hope to get more people growing food so that the islands could become more resilient. The next one is coffee, another great shrub to include in your garden for all you coffee lovers out there. It tends to grow a little better in little less rainy climates. They grow it a lot in Kona, obviously, a lot in Maui. People are growing it here in Puna, where I live. It can grow all over, just the quality of coffee is going to be different based on where it's grown. It's a great shrub that loves the shade. That is a great thing about coffee. It loves to be put in shady places, and any food forest will have shady parts to them. So it's a great plant to put where other plants can't go. Now, if you don't like coffee, maybe you like tea. Tea is a wonderful shrub that has been found to grow well out here in Hawaii. It grows to about 3 feet or so. You tend to prune it a lot because it's the tips of the tea plant that you want for your tea. I once went to a tea farm in India outside of Darjeeling, and it was amazing. And tea is a beautiful plant. We went to a tea farm where the woman called her tea the happy tea. And she just kept saying it over and over again. And so the tea plant kind of stuck with me. And I don't have any growing here at my place, but it's definitely a plant that we are looking at including into our food forest as we fill it out, and as we fill out my mom's a little more as well. And then there's this shrub, cacao. We all know what it is. It is the source of chocolate. And if I could have my own chocolate growing when the barges stop coming, I think I'll be okay. Cacao grows as a nice upright shrub, and it produces these beautiful pods. You get yellow ones, red ones, and you get the beans off of these plants that you can churn into chocolate. Now, who doesn't love the idea of having their own chocolate? Now, it's not an easy process to turn the beans into chocolate, but after learning, it can be done, and it is a great thing for us to have here in the tropics. We are blessed and lucky to have cacao. Wow, I think we've made it to the end. Surely there's a couple more shrubs out there that'll grow in the tropics, but I'm gonna leave it here. Cardamom, it sort of grows a lot like ginger, like galangal. Has these upright sort of stems, but the part that you harvest and use is coming off the seeds. And so we're filling that in to the shrub layer of our food forest. Whereas ginger would be, the edible portion would be the root layer. But you can kind of see how both these plants, they fill different niches, right? And cardamom is the third most valuable spice in the world. And so spice like that has to be good for something, right? If you like Indian cooking, or you just like having that little certain flavor to your food, cardamom is a great plant to have. It grows really well in the tropics and propagates really easily, just like ginger. So yeah, why not grow cardamom? It could fill in spaces throughout your food forest that probably you haven't even thought about filling. All right, guys, there you have it. That was, what, 12 shrubs to put into your food forest? So we've done videos on the root layer of our food forest. We've gone over what is a food forest, amendments to include in your food forest, how to create a food forest. And now we've done shrubs to fill in your food forest. And we've also done all sorts of trees that you could grow in your tropical food forest. There's so much content now on this channel that you're gonna wanna check it all out. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button. Until next time, ahui ho.